to our presentation of the legacy of the life of Dr. Willie Houseal. It's part of our Black History Month celebration. I want to remind you there was refreshments outside. Also, if you get the chance, before you leave, go up to the 3rd floor. We have another part of our celebration of Black History Month, which is an art exhibit by John Robinson. It's very moving art. It's about his journey with cancer and the things that inspired him in his life. So I invite you to go upstairs to the 3rd floor. It's in a gallery that's between the old library and the new edition. So please go take a look at it. It's a great honor and privilege that I stand before you today to introduce a remarkable individual whose life work kept on that has left an indelible mark on our community. Dr. Willie Houseal embodies the essence of dedication, service, and leadership. As we gather here as a part of BSU's Black History Month, it is fitting that we shine a spotlight on who I consider to be a local hero whose contributions have shaped the landscape of civil rights, education, and historic preservation in Valdosta. Born and raised in Valdosta, Dr. Houseal's journey is one of unwavering commitment to positive change. After graduating from Pinevale High School, which was the black high school here in Valdosta before desegregation, Dr. Houseal embarked on a remarkable educational journey. I'm very proud that he's a part of the BSU family, along with earning a Master of Education and Education Specialist degree from Valdosta State. He has earned degrees from St. Leo College, Pepperdine University, and Nova Southeastern University, where he got his doctorate. He spent 27 years in public education, including as a teacher of Lowndes County, administrator and principal for Brooks County School, from where he retired in 2002. He was also a student teacher supervisor here at BSU, as well as professor and director of Clark University at Moody Air Force Base. Dr. Houseal was a man of great energy. While he was serving all this different roles in public education, he was also striving to bring positive change to the political landscape of the Valdosta community. In the early 1980s, he led the efforts to change the unequal representation of the black community in local public posts due to the voting system of at-large voting. The results of this at-large system led to an all-white city council with no black representation or representation based on the areas of the city. Ultimately, this effort was successful, and as a result of that, Dr. Houseal was elected to represent District 1 on the City Council in February of 1985, where he continued to effect change within the city through helping change hiring practices and parks and recreation policy. Dr. Houseal has also been very involved in efforts to recognize and preserve Southside Valdosta history, including Pinevale High School. Dr. Houseal is an important contributor to the BSU Archives Community Digitization Access and Preservation Partnership. His primary source materials he's contributed to us that we've put online are invaluable in documenting and contextualizing this community's history. Houseal has said he's most proud of every opportunity he has had to mentor children, teens, and young adults. He enjoys helping community youth develop the skills needed to unlock their full potential and embrace life with confidence and resilience. His 2 books, The Power of Self-Esteem, Using It All to Get It All, and The Power of Positive Self-Esteem, Developing, Implementing, and Sustaining, were inspired by his commitment to helping others live their best life. Through his service in the Valdosta City Council, his distinguished career in education, and his passionate endeavors in preserving our rich history, Dr. Houseal has exemplified the values of integrity, compassion, and resilience. His impact extends far beyond the boundaries of our city, inspiring generations to come and leaving an enduring legacy of empowerment and progress. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming a true inspiration, Dr. Willie Houseal.
Want to get like her, did I do that? Thank you all. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
It is an honor for me to be here today for the BSU Black History Program. It is my hope that this message will inspire you to challenge unfair and injustice wherever they may exist. First, I would like to thank a few people whom I've had the pleasure of working with for several months, and who are responsible for this important event. Professor Deborah Davis has been an intricate part of this collecting, securing, and archiving our most precious possessions, the history and legacy of the Southside community and the Pinevale High School experience. Thank you, Ms. Isabel Keimer, a.k.a. Izzy, for working tirelessly on scanning and cataloging and uploading our historical data to the university's VTech program. Thank you, Mr. Dallas Sutton. Your technical skills are greatly appreciated. And thank you, Mr. Douglas Carlson, who just stole my script. I thank you, sir. He's the program coordinator of Archives and Special Collections. We thank you for your present and future support. Finally, thank you to our audience for your attendance here today. My very, very special guests, my church family, my brothers and sisters in Christ throughout this community, Mr. Harry, Ms. Irma, all of those who are part of the Pinevale Alumni Organization. All of you are honored guests. Thank you for being here. My aim is to share firsthand knowledge of becoming a change agent in my community, lending itself to the theme, want change, be the change. It is my belief that this message can resonate with all generations, beginning with the greatest generation ever lived, to the baby boomers, the X and the Y and the Zs, and now the Alpha generation. To all the distinguished historians here today, please forgive me if it sounds like I'm preaching to a choir. It is not my intentions to bring a history lesson this afternoon. I simply want to show how an extraordinary era in Black history affected the lives of Black citizens here, even in our community. Therefore, for the next few moments, and I mean few, please allow me to take you on a journey into the past. Back to a time when things were quite different for Black citizens in this country, and yes, even in Valdosta. Up until the 1960s and 70s and beyond, Blacks continued to live under the segregated laws that caused undue hardship. I speak of a time when the laws of the land, the separate but equal doctrine, derived from the racist decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, Plessy versus Ferguson case in 1896. As the facts present the case, Mr. Homer Plessy, 7/8 white, 1/8 black. I got to pause there for a minute. I think. He purchased a train ticket and traveled within Louisiana and took a seat in a car reserved for white passengers only. He refused to move to the colored or Negro rail car and was arrested and charged with the violation of the Louisiana Separate Car Act. This separate but equal case argued that separate rail cars for whites and African Americans were equal at least as required by the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The 14th Amendment, adopted in 1868, granted citizens and legal rights to African Americans and enslaved people who had been emancipated after the American Civil War. However, the outcome of the case would extend far beyond rail cars and into the very fabric of our society, especially the southern states. Judge John H. Ferguson presided over the case. He dismissed Mr. Plessy's case, ruling that Louisiana had the right to regulate railroad companies while they operated within state boundaries. The outcome of this case encouraged legislators to pass laws that oppress African Americans by means of segregation. These laws were also known as Jim Crow laws, which enforced racial segregation in the South between the end of the Reconstruction of 1877 and the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement in the 1950s. These laws were being enforced by criminal penalties. These laws created separate but equal schools, parks, waiting rooms, and other segregated public facilities, especially in the South. This concept of separate but equal was doomed from the very start because equality was never achieved and could never be achieved. Only the separate. Most people have no knowledge of the meaning behind the term Jim Crow other than the association with the Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow originated from a popular song and dance act supposedly modeled after a slave. The act was called Jump Jim Crow. It was performed by white actor Thomas D. Rice. We called him Daddy Rice. In blackface in 1828. It was performed by white actor Thomas D. Rice, and his performance, as a result, became a derogatory epithet meaning Negro. The source, Wikipedia.org, under Jim Crow laws. Fast forward now to the year 1982. I relocated back to Valdosta after serving in the United States Air Force. Shortly after returning, I realized that black citizens did not have a seat at the table where decisions were being made. We were taxed, but we were not represented. Our city leaders gave no consideration to the needs and concerns of the people who live on the south side of town. I asked the question, how can I make a change in my community? Well, what can I do? Then my thought was, if I wanted things to change, I needed to be a part of the change. My motto is, if you want things to change, be the change. It all started with the Odum Avenue Fire Station back in 1982, and the word was out. The city officials had planned to close the only fire station on the south side of town, where predominantly black neighborhoods were located. We were told the closing of the fire station was due to budget restraints. The Southside residents expressed the need to keep the fire station open. The train would delay the north and the southbound traffic by up to 30 minutes at a time, and most of those minutes were critical. There were major concerns about emergency vehicles arriving at our houses in timely manners. We needed a fire station nearby. Our request was ignored, and the city leaders continued to support an unpopular proposal to cut services within the city. And they included Odum Avenue Fire Station. The decision to close the station was very unpopular. It prompted citizens to act. Individuals from the NAACP, Wintersville Coalition Consultants, and other organizations joined forces. We attended city council meetings, asked questions, and voiced our concerns. We all became change agents. By attending these council meetings, we realized that the entire political system of voting needed to be changed from at-large to district. In the at-large system, a candidate would need the majority of the votes throughout the entire city to win an election. Now keep in mind that whites outnumbered black voters 4-1 during that time. The district voting would assure the selection of a candidate from his or her own neighborhood. Mr. Todd Johnson, an attorney for the South Georgia Legal Services and the United States Justice Department, initiated a civil action lawsuit on our behalf. And the rest is history. A new district voting system replaced the at-large voting system. This method was a fair and equitable method of selecting candidates. The proof lies in the statistics. For example, before 1982, there were only 2 black citizens elected to public office in the city of Valdosta and Lowndes County throughout its entire history. And they were Ms. Ruth Council and Mr. Clayton Barrett. Now, since implementing the district voting in 1984, there have been 37 blacks selected. The City Council, County Commission, and the Valdosta and Lowndes County Boards of Education collectively since that time, including myself. Indeed, a significant historical change took place during this time in the voting process in our city and county. The Valdosta Daily Times newspaper article dated February 24, 2013, 11 years ago this month, provided the reader with details of the events led by concerned citizens who want to make change in our community. By the way, my wife, Sister Pat, has been with me since the very beginning. At the end of the article, thank you so much for Sister Pat. At the end of the article, the interview question was asked, would change have come without the lawsuit? We all responded in one voice and with one word: no. The pattern of separate but equal doctrine was integrated into various facets of our society, including the public school system. For it was the Brown versus Board of Education case in 1954 that overturned the Plessy versus Ferguson's case. So it seemed. 65 years later, these laws continue to be a part of our public education system until 1965. The federal government intervened once again with litigation against these segregated laws. I grew up under a separate but unequal school system and graduated from Pinevale High School in 1969. I have a short clip of the Pinevale High School documentary where alumni members shared memories of their educational experience. We were fortunate to have our former principal of Pinevale High School, Mr. C.C. Hall, take part in this documentary. Mr. Hall is 98 years old and still goes to work part-time in his place of business. He says someone has to answer the phone. A big thank you to Dr. Mark George, who has created a digital footprint of this Pinevale story that will last for generations to come. This is an excerpt of the Pinevale High School story.
Pinevale required school. Our parents raised us to live in a two-system society. Okay, we realized that there were certain things we couldn't do. There were certain things we could do. Certain places you didn't go and certain things that you didn't do because you knew what the consequences would be. Mom and Daddy did their best, their level best to shield us from as much of that as they could.
This school was the heartbeat of this community.
I grew up with my teachers knowing my parents.
They knew both my grandfather, they knew my mother, and my father.
If anything was out of line, my mother would know about it before I got home after school.
Hey, we knew every teacher.
And they were like family.
They were out there, so we were not waiting to hear something and they had it. They would sacrifice to get it for us.
They would. The red show, you understand what I'm about. The effort is big.
Mr. Hall did everything. I can tell you, he worked tirelessly between the two schools, Pinevale and Southeast, to make things work for the students and the parents.
When they saw something out of the ordinary, they sat us down and talked to us like we were their children. We were going to represent them when we got out, when we went to college, when we went to the military, when we went into the workforce, wherever we went. So they wanted us to be more prepared than they were. They took it personally.
It was caring and compassion from the teachers, and they treated all the students that way. There was no option for us to fail.
We brought the Pinevale. We were the top of the line, the best of the best.
That's how I got to understand what it takes a village was all about. And it really does take a village.
Talk about it takes a village. Well, this was the village.
It was almost like school didn't even turn out because we had practices and what have you, and everybody that did participate, they still came back to the campus.
All the good times we had there, you had gym, you had to come around. We used to have bonfires.
So up until about the challenge was great for people to get here on time, even in the rain, because they had to walk.
Walk 2.5 miles every day.
It was about 3 miles one way for me.
This is walking from the west side of Valdosta to the south side of Valdosta.
Nobody's struggling.
That's all was there right there. And the problem.
Of course, the white kids had buses, but we had to walk.
There was no equality, separate but equal. No,
It was supposed to be separate and equal, but it wasn't.
Separation part existed, but the equal part never existed.
We wanted was for Pinevale to have the same thing that I was having. That's all we wanted.
We knew that the boys had the best of everything, and we had to take whatever we could get.
When it would rain, we had to
lot was paid.
We would get secondhand books.
And we realized that by looking at some of the text and what were copyrighted.
They used to send over old equipment, old books. They'd load them up on the back of a truck, and then they would bring them over, and then push them off on the ground, and we would take them and tape them together, you know, and that material, we didn't realize it at the time, but that material was obsolete by the time we got it.
We had to teach it. We just didn't have the equipment the teachers needed to teach us. Because that's all they needed was the equipment. They give us the equipment, then we could speak.
Yes, it was getting new books and passing us the old books and new uniforms for the football team. And we had to suffer with what we had.
Notepads, we had all the secondary stuff. I remember when we went to camp, they went to camp down in Lake Park, which was a facility. Our camp was right in his gym. And we got our bathing for moving to the athletes.
For instance, the helmets, you know, we played with that Pinevale. We played with the same helmets throughout our high school days. Valdosta would get new equipment in every year.
We had the transportation, the high school football team had the buses and things to take them where they need to go. But we had this high school football team and ride on team called Team Lizzie. It was an old used county bus.
Stadium, the condition paled compared to Cleveland Field, Valdosta High, you know. Players at Valdosta High can go back and look at old film. We can't do that because we didn't have the funds for that.
They fail to understand is that we didn't have a problem with being separate. Our problem came with not being equal.
We had been told our junior year at Pinevale High that would be our last year there.
About a month before for school to start, we learned that the school system was going to be integrated.
We were forced to close the doors because we were one of those states or cities that just refused to integrate.
Pursuant to a federal court order, we would join forces with students at Valdosta High School.
They had to integrate whether they wanted to or not.
They Pinevale held out for a very long time.
Would we rather have separate but equal or integration? That came up. It's a mixed feeling.
From viewing this episode, full length will be uploaded in the next couple of weeks on our YouTube channel. You can see the rest of the story. These testimonies you've heard on the video confirmed our concerns about how segregation in schools made it difficult for black children to learn. We had to learn from outdated textbooks. We used football uniforms and band uniforms and played secondhand band instruments. But we sounded like angels. Although we had a team, we had to learn in the deficit. We had many success stories as well. In fact, 2 Pinevale High School graduates became change agents wherein they integrated Valdosta State College in 1963. They were Drew Neal Thomas and Robert Pierce. The legacies of Pinevale High School graduates are too far to mention, too numerous to mention. And in closing, I would like to leave you with 3 key ingredients to consider when becoming a change agent. Number 1, listen to the concerns of others. Hear what they have to say. Number 2, have a persuasive voice. Be willing to speak up and speak out, letting your voices be heard in a tactful and a diplomatic way. And be an advocate for what is right and good for all mankind. This means to develop a passion for something greater than yourselves. With this, I say to you, thank you for taking this journey with me today. And remember, if you want to see change, what should we do? Be part of the change. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for attending. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Dr. Houseal's family, including Pat, and his community family that came out to see us. Thank you for BSU students and faculty who are here. Once again, there's more refreshments outside, and please stop by the 3rd floor and look over John Robinson's art exhibit. I think it'll move you, and I think you'll be glad you did. Thank you for coming.